What's going on out there? I'm your host, TW. This is the Talkin Bout Podcast, and this is my Impact Hard to Kill review. And the show wrapped up just a little while ago. Took a few minutes to kind of process my thoughts before I, get together and put this out to you. And listen, this is a good show. That's what we've come to expect from this current regime of Impact is good shows when it comes to pay-per-views. They seem to always deliver. I can't remember the last time they did a bad one. They have done one, but just not very frequently, not very recently, honestly. They've been delivering quite consistently when it comes to these pay-per-view shows. This show though was, let's be honest, it had a few clouds hanging over it. We got the news about La Parka passing away, and Taya tweeted out a lot about that. And then obviously the biggest thing, let's not bury the lead here. The biggest thing was the Tessa Blanchard story that came out. The accusations of her spitting in the face of a black woman and calling her the N-word while in Japan, which was proceeded to be corroborated by wrestler after wrestler after wrestler, and then things about more, just troubling behavior just continue. The stories just continue to come out. I don't have to sit here and rehash it for you. You've either heard it already, and if you haven't heard it already, it's certainly out there to be found. Go ahead and, look into it for yourself. And that was a little bit of a cloud hanging over this show. Why was it a cloud hanging over this show? Because everybody showed up here tonight to see Tessa Blanchard in the main event versus Sami Callihan. And a lot of people were hoping this was going to be Tessa Blanchard winning the world title. And even if it wasn't going to be her winning the world title, it was still going to be a woman main eventing a major pay-per-view. And that's something that we just have not seen. I misspoke. Not that we haven't seen a woman main eventing a major pay-per-view, because 3 women main evented WrestleMania, right? But we haven't seen a woman challenging for the company's world championship in the main event of a major pay-per-view. And that's what we got here tonight. And that was, that was the draw of this whole show. And that's what everyone was anticipating to see. And when the story came out yesterday, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it kind of, for me, it made me unable to root for Tessa. As a character or as a human. It is what it is. Hey, look, man, we've all got our triggers. We've all got our things that, are more important to us than others. Some people, it's puppies, right? Some people, it's patriotism, right? For me, it's racism. That's this one, hard on my sleeve. It is what it is. So, excuse me. So, I mean, that is what it is, but here's what made this show great, right? In spite of all those things, this show still represented a growth point for this company. And for people who have been watching and paying attention to Impact Wrestling, there's been a constant story of, this company not only surviving, but kind of getting its legs back under it. And then, kind of slowly growing. You're starting to see the venue size grow from pay-per-view to pay-per-view. I believe they had, over 3,000 people for their last pay-per-view in Chicago. And this one, I don't know what the official head count was, but I saw somebody tweet that this was taking place in a venue that seats like 4,000 people or something like that. I don't know how many people were there, but what they did do was they mic'd the crowd, so the crowd actually sounded lively and it sounded loud, and they sounded really into it, and it made the show sound very hot. People were reacting to all the things that were going on. One little downside to that, though, is you could definitely hear the wrestlers in the ring calling their spots, but that might be a little bit too inside baseball. So this was a big show. This was a big, big show that, once again, unfortunately had a cloud hanging over it. And another thing that I think is very interesting that ties into this Tessa story is on Friday night, Jordynne Grace and Taya Valkyrie had an amazing match at the Bash at the Brewery not pay per view. It was an Impact Plus special. They had an amazing match. It was a brawl. They used weapons. They used beer cans on each other. I mean, it was a great match. Jordan Grace ended up getting the win, but to me, that was one of those matches where, no matter who won and lost, both people actually came out of that match looking better. And so I'm watching that match and just saying to myself, like, man, this is awesome. This is an awesome match. And like, if anybody, if you are a wrestling fan, you need to watch this match because this was just a good match. Like, this wasn't a good women's match. This wasn't a good Impact match. This was a good match. And, I didn't see Tessa, retweet anything. I see her, tweet out a congratulations. Hey, ladies, great match. I didn't see her, retweet anything that I or anyone else tweeted about that match. And then we get to the next morning, which was yesterday morning. And, one of the first things I see is a tweet from Tessa saying, hey, women, you should support each other, because that's good. And I'm like, man, that's coming off a little condescending. And certainly, I was not the only one who felt that way. So anyway, you guys know the rest of the story. But I found that really interesting because as all these people were coming out, right, you had all the people, because Tessa's whole defense here, defense is not even the right word, but her whole position that she's been taking on all this stuff is, hey, nobody's perfect, right? And that's the closest thing to a defense we heard. We heard Moose come out and say, hey, Chelsea Green and Allison Kay, you guys aren't perfect. Okay, cool. Nobody's perfect. We've established that. We got that. Boom, nobody's perfect. I also saw, I believe it was Kiera Hogan saying something to the effect of, hey, we're all human, we can all, grow and that type of thing. And my stuff is like, okay, cool. I agree with all that. I think that stuff is all very true. We should all be looking to, grow and move forward and all that stuff. That's true. But you know what I didn't hear anybody say? I didn't hear anybody say, that's not like Tessa. There's no way she did that. That is totally out of her character. I didn't hear anybody say that. I didn't get any of those vibes from anybody at all. And so that really told me everything I need to know. That and that her only response to it was to totally deny it. So she basically hit you with the fake news, right? Like that's it. In 2020, that's just what you do. You just basically say, I'm just going to deny it and just let it go away. You can't prove I did it, even though everyone knows I did it. And, so it just, this whole thing has just made Tessa really, really, really unlikable. And, I mean, if we're being honest, that's not new, right? Because from whatever, listen, a buddy of mine who worked a lot on the indies, he told me that she had a terrible reputation. He told me that a long time ago. And, to some people are just jerks, right? Some people are just jerks. But here's the thing, what we got to see through all of the people coming out yesterday is that, listen, if you stack up enemies year after year after year after year, eventually, if they get a chance to take you down, they're going to. And that's exactly what happened. So, it's a shame, right? Because this pay-per-view was a really good one, another really good one. And just like the match that Taya and Jordan Grace had, and all the great matches on the show tonight, all anyone is going to be talking about is Tessa and these accusations. And that's sad. It's terrible. But, just as I started the show saying, it put a cloud over the whole evening. It really did. And so, yeah, man, that's that. Tessa won. She had a really good match. And I got to give Sami Callihan credit. Sami Callihan, he's shown he can have a good match with pretty much anybody. Just look at the list of great matches with different opponents that Sami Callihan has worked with. He's had great matches with Pentagon. He's had great matches with Brian Cage, of all people. He's had great matches with, Eddie Edwards. And now Tessa Blanchard. Listen, we got to give Sami Callihan his props. Dude can wrestle. He can wrestle. And, listen, wrestling is not just getting your moves in. It's not just doing flips. It's making the other person look believable, right? Creating a story, creating drama for the crowd, for the people to watch. And if you watch Sami Callihan's matches, he seems to do that with just about anybody he wrestles. So, give Sami Callihan his props. He put on a good match with Tessa. It was a different match from the other two matches. And yeah, she won, but just, it was hard to cheer for her. It was hard to cheer for her. And, unfortunately, they may have to change the name of the show from Hard to Kill to Hard to Cheer for Our Hero. Because, listen, if I'm Impact, what I do going forward is I make Tessa a heel. I make Tessa a heel, and I make Moose her goon. And, you just got to lean into it. I don't think the right thing to do is to go forward continuing just to pretend that this stuff isn't happening. Because even if you're performing for crowds of majorities of people that don't care about this type of issue and that aren't going to give her flack for it, she's going to have to talk to the media to promote your product. And the media is not going to let this slide. No journalist worth a damn is going to let her sit in front of them or stand in front of them, and they're not going to bring these things up. And, she's going to, try to talk around it and dance around it, but good journalists are going to keep pressing her. So these things are not going to go away. If I'm Tessa, what I would do if I was advising Tessa, I tell her, look, make a statement, just come out, say, hey, I said some things, and listen, if you don't care and if you're not sorry, say that. Say, I said some things. She made me feel a certain type of way. I said it out of anger, and it was what it was. Say that if that's how you feel. Hey, I was in a bad place. I was really angry. Pull the Hulkster. I was really angry. I was in a dark place in my life. You know what I mean? Say what you. But I think you got to address it. You can't just come out and say never happened, and everybody's like, everything we know about you says you probably did do it. And so, listen, I think that in my opinion, one of the worst things you can do is just let this linger, because it's not going to go away, because people are going to hold it against you and against the company forever. So we'll see where they go from here. It's tough. One thing that I can't let this little review go by without saying is, man, between the match on Friday night and the match tonight with ODB and Jordan Grace, I think it's time we start talking about Taya Valkyrie as one of the best wrestlers in the world, and not just a woman's wrestler, not just an Impact knockout. Like, no, one of the best all-around performers in the world. She checks every box, man. She checks every single box. She can work. She's believable. I got into a whole deep rabbit hole with people on Facebook about what is and isn't believable. Listen, I'll put it to you like this. If you see somebody on a TV show who is presenting as someone who beats people up, if you don't think that person could beat people up, they're not believable, okay? Taya Valkyrie could probably beat you up, right? Let's keep it real. And Adam Cole probably couldn't, but we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go down that rabbit hole. So, yeah, man. Look, man. Taya checks all the boxes. I mean, she's believable. She's tough. She's got a good bad guy character. She interacts with the fans well. She has good in-ring talent. She's a good-looking woman. She has sex appeal. Everything you could possibly want in a pro wrestling performer, she checks all the boxes, man. And I really think that for whatever reason, she just hasn't gotten the credit that she deserves. And yeah, I think it's time we start putting her on that scale. I think we start putting her in that same breath, and especially now that Tessa Blanchard is the world champion, the next main event for the Impact World Championship might be Tessa Blanchard versus Taya Valkyrie, at which point I'm Team Taya. So that's my quick little, my quick takeaway from, I keep wanting to say Slammiversary, my quick takeaway from Hard to Kill. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your comments below. Share this with a friend. Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you guys for taking the time out to watch this. Let me be a part of your day. I'm TW, and I'll talk to you soon.